That's better. All right, well, welcome back everybody. Welcome back myself. I mean, if you've been following my shorts, you kind of know what I'm doing. But if you haven't, let's do a quick breakdown. So I have actually been cranking away on the Mustang, getting everything up to par so I can get it started. We have the turbos pretty much in place. The only thing I do not have is my wastegates on. They're up there. It's not needed for this. So we're just gonna go ahead and go on. All the oil lines are ran. So you can see that one does a nice little doop. This one does a nice little loop. The ECU is all wired up to the engine. Currently, you can see that the coil packs are actually not in because I'm waiting for spark plugs to come in. I ordered those because they are expensive, buying 16 of them. So we're gonna try and save some money. So what we are currently doing though, is I just cranked over the engine for a little bit. I didn't see any oil come out of there. Kind of hoping that once I start it, I'll just watch oil pressure really close and that I have oil pressure because I changed the pickup tube and the oil pan, but I don't know. So where I'm at is I'm actually working on loading the tune-up. Don't worry about the wiring mess. So we just have the jump pack hooked up to the ECU, which is, don't look at this stuff. It's not there. ECU's in. But so I'll turn this on, which will turn all that on, and then I get up to the ECU. I welded this. I won't show you the welds actually, but that's not going anywhere. Now I have a mechanical throttle body, drive-by-wire, or sorry, drive-by-cable instead of drive-by-wire. The transmission's in with the clutch, and it's full of fluid. Oil's in the motor, engine, whatever. I want to hear this. I know you want to hear, oh, I did clean the injectors. Two on this side, right in the center, were completely plugged up, and then the back one on that side, they were not firing at all. So I just cleaned them up really quick, which is funny because I'm just going to run old gas through them anyways to run it because I have a fuel tank that came with the engine and transmission on a pallet, and it ran with that 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago, boys and girls. So it still has the same fuel in it. It only had like 5 gallons. There might be a couple left in it, but just for simplicity of starting it, because I need to hook to this fuel rail, I have the fuel line, which is actually over here. So this doohickey goes to both the fuel pump and the fuel rail. So I'm just gonna smack that on and then run some power to it and crank it over. But I need the spark plugs. I'm gonna update the ECU real quick and then we'll go from there. So all I am waiting for right now is spark plugs. Everything else is, I'm not gonna say hooked up, but it's rigged into there, so it'll work. Cranks over, ECU is flashed, it has fuel. It's probably gonna sound like shit because I only have 2 top bolts on each manifold and then 1 on the bottom. And then the exhaust manifold gaskets are actually sitting right here. I need to take off the exhaust manifolds to put on the wastegate still, so I'll do that after. Really just wanted to start it and hear this thing. So once those get here, I will slam the spark plugs in and then we will get a first start. Also, something I forgot to add. The map sensor is janky in there for right now. For some reason, Holly decided that they were going to stop doing the plug that these Gen 3 Hemis need for the air intake manifold sensor, the coolant sensor, and the map sensor. So they put their 3-bar map sensor external deal on there. So I cut, if you can see it down there, I cut my old one off my other harness and just kind of stuffed the wires in for now. It works. That's temporary just to get it started. Once I do that, I'll take it and I'll solder it in, heat shrink it, and do some shielding, make it all nice. But I just want to get this thing started, and that's what I needed to do. So anybody else looking at this, be cautious that, and then that. They're all different sensors. Smells awful. well, let's wrap up this video. So it finally started and ran inside the Mustang. That is freaking awesome. It only ran for maybe, I don't know, what was it, a minute or two. The IAC was idling high for cold, so it was idling about 1300 RPM. I don't see any leaks. Everything looks pretty good underneath it. So there was an issue with the data logger. It corrupted the file, and now I can't see any of the data logs off of the Terminator, so I gotta wipe it and reset it and see if I can get that. Which if I can, I'll come out and we'll start it again and kind of look it over, kind of let it run for a little bit longer and get some more data. But I mean, it sounded pretty good other than the lifters clacking away, because they have sat for several years without any oil pressure. Some of the reasons that I was taking so long, so this took forever, actually took a couple weeks to get it all figured out and started. So all those start videos are over the process of a few weeks of diving down through and trying to figure out what was going on. So I'll start with, there were a couple of my issues that I had, and then there was actually some on the Terminator side. Let's start with the Terminator because that's probably what most people want to know. The crank position sensor and my cam position sensor, the wires were flipped on both of them. So I had to take and actually flip those two in order to get it to read, because they were incorrect. After going through all of the wiring guides and everything, I finally found that. I thought maybe my crank position sensor was an issue. It wasn't. I actually replaced it with, I don't know where the one is at that I'd used. It was an aftermarket one, the one that they recommend with the Terminator. Yeah, shit, don't buy it. It's the, what is it? It was this Chrysler 514-9230 AA crank sensor. That is actually really hard to find. And the only one I could find was not an OEM Mopar one. So I bought it off of Summit, Chinese. And it was Chinesium, it was shit. So I actually was able to put the OEM one back in there. That seemed to fix some of my issues. I don't know if I was having voltage drop issues, but another big issue I was having, I mean those were some big ones, but my infinite wisdom, the coil, ignition coil resistor packs, or whatever those things are that go on it, I accidentally crossed them too. On some of those, you hear it kind of start like puttering over, pop, pop, pop. It was almost like it was 180 degrees out. So if you ever dealt with a distributor, if you were off on the distributor, you could hear when it would start popping out. So that's what it reminded me of. Figured something was up, so I went and swapped those around. And then once I got all that, I trusted AI, which it was wrong in this sense. So I Googled what tooth reluctor wheel was on this 6.1 Hemi. It told me it was a 58 tooth. That is incorrect. It is the, 32 tooth. So I had the 58 tooth in there. So it was completely blind on how many teeth were on the reluctor wheel. So I didn't know where it was at on that one. So once I figured that out, my wiring from both the Holly and myself, and then my voltage issue, we ran, and it ran great. It cranked right over and fired up and took off. Shoved my hand on it to try and stop it. Dumb idea. With that, let's see what else we can do with this. Maybe we can get a drive shaft and the clutch working, and we can do something fun. That felt good. Whoa. boys.